Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope everybody's doing all right. I'm so glad every one of you guys have joined in, and I appreciate everybody being here. And so far, I'm glad that you guys are here. We got so many people here in the side chat. Namely, we got JC Cycles, Al Gotch, we got D Cycle, we've got Coyote Red, Ozark HD Riders, and so many more that I can't keep up with. I guess I could, but anyway, Jed Woods is here, Cowboy USA is here, Randy Simmons is here, Rolling Stone is here. Hey guys, those of you in the southeast, this definitely in my area, you know, it is definitely a rainy time during this tropical system that's happening. So anyway, you guys, you guys hear me all right? You know, just want to make sure this audio is working okay. Hey Al, hey D Cycle. Chuck Hildenbrand is here. The Dirty Nods is here. Hippie Trev is here, not Trippy Trev. Anyway, sorry about that, bro. That I said that one day. So anyway, guys, I have been nominated to do a video by Superman Kevin Schroeder to do a video on the topic called the 7 gear motorcycle question, something basically your perspective on motorcycling and stuff like that. And I've got some guests coming up, and they're waiting to come on. And right now, I'm going to go ahead and before I get them on here, well, let me back up a bit. The question is about what basically my perspective on motorcycling in general. And, what do I like best about this part of biking? What I like best about this part of biking? Well, you know what I thought I might do is maybe bring this live and bring some guests up here and get their perspective as well. So we can, just as iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. And we can get some really cool perspectives about the 7 gear motorcycle challenge. I hope I'm saying that right. But before I get started, Jersey Nick, Scouse, you guys are down there waiting to come on. I'm sure you can hear me all right. And Kevin Schroeder is waiting as well. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. But before I get started, I got 2 pieces of mail I want to open up. And I promised one of these guys I would wait for a live chat to open this up. So you guys just hold tight right there. I'll get you up right after I open this mail. So the first piece of mail comes from Ozark HD Riders. I'm sure you guys know this guy. And Ozark, I really appreciate you sending me a piece of mail. I know you're in the side chat. You are one heck of a supporter for those in the YouTube motovlog community. And it's like you're almost like an icon amongst many others, But every time there's a live chat, I mean, boom, you're there every time. And let's see what Ozark sent. Whoa. Hey, that's some pretty significant looking stickers there. I kind of like that. Here's the state of Missouri with the bridge going across the Missouri River or Mississippi River or whatever river that is. Forgive my ignorance of geography. And his logo, which is so freaking cool. Check that out, guys. Oh, and by the way, I'm sure everybody knows who Ozarks is, but if you don't know this guy, his description, his link is down in the description below, along with everybody else who's going to come up tonight. And he left me a nice little note, and he says, "Hey, Corey, I hope this finds you well, brother. I thought you might like to have some stickers and wanted you to know that I appreciate your videos, my friend. God bless and ride safe, my fellow brother, Oz, or Ozark. I guess Oz means Ozark. You too, Ozark. I mean, like I said, you are definitely a gem in the YouTube motovlogging community. And, man, thank you so much for these stickers, man. I really like that one, especially the gorilla, man. And this is just so freaking unique. Like, I can dig it. All right. Again, thanks a lot. And the next piece of mail comes from, I already opened that one. Where's it at? Oh, here it is. The next piece of mail comes from Mr. and Mrs. Kenneth Burrow, all the way from Jonesboro, Arkansas, which I think I've gotten an envelope from Mr. Burrow before. So let's see what he's got here today. Oh, and by the way, Redwood Rider, I still got your letter opener that you sent me, so this is definitely coming in handy. And all right, Oh, goodness. Well, Kenneth Burrow, I really appreciate that. It looks like a little bit of a compensation for the stickers I sent to him and the rest of his CMA chapter. Kenneth, thank you so much. You're definitely all right, man. I really appreciate that. Okay, who else is in the side chat? The Hog Chamber's here. Jesse Tiffany's here. And Tat Haynes is here. Jeff Hall is here. Coyote Red is here. Spike M is here. And Trip on Two Wheels is here. Nothing Finer Than a Dinah is here. And I imagine, and there's 81 people watching right now. Oh my goodness, 82 now. So now I really cannot conceive of why anybody would want to watch Goofy on me, but oh well. I guess the thing I had nothing better to do on TV, so that's cool. So anyway, I got that out of the way. So again, the subject tonight is going to be about the 7-gear challenge. And I left it in the description below. And basically the subject is that the 7-gear challenge is our opportunity to share with you our thoughts and experiences on motorcycling. Why the 7th gear? Well, it's because when we ride, we're always looking for our next ride or destination. And when we ride, we're always looking for that 7th gear. Or if you're like me, I have 5 gears. So I'm always looking for that 6th gear. So again, like I said, I could have made a video about this, but I really didn't know how to do it justice. So I thought, what better way than to have some folks come up, some special guests, some good friends, to come up and share their perspective on what these 7 questions are about this little challenge here. Or not even a challenge. This is really just to get your perspective on what, this whole thing about motorcycling. So before I get anybody up, I got to put in my earphones and so I can hear you guys talking. So let me introduce to you guys, if you have never met, we have Jersey Nick Moto all the way from New Jersey. We have Scouts Adventures all the way from what part of Canada?
Alberta.
Scouts, Alberta, Canada. Okay, good deal. And we have Kevin Schroeder all the way from, I think, from the other side of Canada. What part are you from?
Ontario. Yeah.
Like,
I'm in Ontario.
Ontario, okay. And okay, okay, cool, good deal. I had to turn my YouTube off for a second. I you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, what I'm going to do, guys, I have 7 questions I'm going to read out, and first I'm going to try and give my perspective, and I just want to try and get, everybody comes from somewhere. Everybody's got their own style and speed. Everybody's got their own desires and dreams and stuff like that. And on top of that, everybody's got their own perspective on certain things. But one thing we have all in common is that we love to ride our bikes, and we have different styles. We have different ways of thinking, different ways of putting things about how to ride, what to ride, when to ride, where to go, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm going to go ahead and give my perspective on this. And I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. As I said, Kevin here is the one that nominated me several months ago. I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm just now getting around to doing this. I'm so freaking slow about it. But anyway, I just wanted to include some folks in on this. So anyhow, as I did, I read the description, what it's about, So the first question is, what motivated you to have your first motorcycle, and what was it? Which is a really cool question. It's almost like a life story, but it's not really a life story. I'm going to spare you all the details. What motivated me to have my first motorcycle? Well, first of all, I didn't grow up around motorcycles. I was the first one in my family to ever have a motorcycle. And my dad's the only other one that ever had a motorcycle. I kind of inspired him, but that's useless knowledge for right now. What first motivated me was I'm driving around this great big Ford van that got 9 miles to the gallon. And that was my only motivation. My only transportation. And this was back in 2001. And I remember driving past this motorcycle shop, this old timey Harley shop. It wasn't a Harley dealership. It was just, a motorcycle shop. And I thought to myself, oh, that's what I need, a motorcycle. This thing surely cannot use as much fuel as what my van is using. So I'll fast forward a bit. I got a motorcycle. And then my first ride on that thing, was just freaking phenomenal. It was just like a whole new world. And so, but what motivated me was the fact that I needed better fuel mileage for what I had at the time, and also I wanted to tack on to that. If I thought it just fit my personality too, because what better way to be set apart from the rest of society than to get on two wheels and be in the wind? You know what I'm saying? So that was basically, before I knew what riding a bike was like. That's what motivated me to ride a bike. So that's basically what my perspective was at that time. So may I ask, Kevin, what motivated you? What caused you to buy your first motorcycle?
I think it all started back. My dad was a motor officer. He was a police officer. He rode a Harley Davidson, and I was about 7 years old. And he came into the driveway. I remember him bringing the bike home, and he put me up on the tank, and he let me blow the siren and flash the lights and rev the motor and all this sort of stuff. And I remember him going down the road, and he had the sidecar on early in the spring. In Canada back then, what they used to do is the motor officers, they rode these old Harleys with the suicide shift, and they had to ride all winter. So they would put the sidecar on and they'd ride all winter. and my dad, it was still springtime, and so he went down the road and then he flipped the sidecar up in the air.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. But I was just enamored with motorcycles, just totally enamored. And I wanted one, and I used to look at magazines over and over and over. And then I finally got a pull start, like a pull start mini bike. And I had that for a while. And when I guess I was about, 18 or 19, I got my first Honda. It was an Interceptor. My mother told me, if you buy a motorcycle, you can't live in the house. I went and bought a brand new Honda Interceptor, and I brought the thing home, pulled it into the garage, and I said to my mom, she came out storming, and she looked at me, and I said, "Now what?" And she slammed the door and went back in the house. She didn't talk to me for a week.
Oh no! But she got over it. Better ask.
Oh yeah.
Forgiveness than permission, right?
My dad thought it was cool.
That's pretty good. Jersey Nick, so what is it that got you, what sold you on getting a motorcycle?
Well, like Kevin, I was pretty young too. I remember when I was about 5 years old, I was growing up in Bayonne, New Jersey. This is like the early 80s. And the guy 2 doors away from me, he always had a bunch of old Harleys. I think he owned a bike shop in the next town. And I remember, like in the summertime when I didn't go to school or for the summer, every morning I'd watch him leave for work. And every day, different bike, he'd wheel it out, start it up, let it warm up, push the trunk in, rip down the block, and the windows in my grandparents' apartment used to rattle. And I would remember that, like everybody else on the block labeled them as like, oh, it's the motorcycle trash house or whatever. But I would watch him, and like all his friends would come over with Harleys, and I was like, no, man, I want that one day. That's going to be me one day. But unfortunately, it took me till I was 28, because also, like Kevin, I had a lot of people in my family that tried to talk me out of it over the years. And finally, I just said, the hell with it. I'm going to do it. And I knew, because of, what inspired me was always going to be a Harley. So when I was 28 years old, I took the MSF course. And I remember I took it. It was like October or November. I got my license in the pouring rain. And I said, oh, it's the winter's coming here in New Jersey. So I lied to myself. I said, I'm going to start, looking for used bikes, and in the spring I'll buy something. Well, 2 weeks later, I was at the Harley deal, and I bought my first brand new Sportster. And that's it. I never looked back after that. And like 3 or 4 bikes later, and 48 states ridden. It's almost. It never stopped. And by that time, my family knew by that age that I really didn't listen to anybody, so I kind of gave up.
Yeah, sold your soul, didn't you?
Yeah.
Scalzi, man. So what sold you on your first motorcycle? What caused you to go that route?
Do you know what it was, mate? I mean, growing up in the UK in Liverpool, just like literally across the sea, we had the Isle of Man. And obviously, you guys are probably at the Isle of Man TT races that happen every single year. And when I was a kid, I heard the stories of my granddad used to race in the TT when he was a young man, and then my dad started doing it, and he wasn't anywhere near as good as my granddad. But because of them two doing the whole TT thing, I was never allowed to have a bike. until I was grown up and stuff like, you know what I mean? It was always, no, you're not getting a bike when I was like 16, 17, 18, because they'd seen what went on over in the Isle of Man and the crashes and all that sort of stuff. So for years and years, I'd always wanted a bike, and I didn't get one till I did me test within the army. So I rode the British Army Harley Davidsons for a few years when I was in. But the reason I got my bike when I moved over to Canada was we went down for a holiday or a vacation, as you guys say, and we went to Deadwood in South Dakota, and
I've been there.
Yeah, well, it just so happened that it was like literally. We didn't know at the time, but we coincided it with the sort of the back end of Sturgis. So Sturgis was finishing. We were just getting there. So I was like, what the hell's going on here? There's like a million bikes wherever you go, and especially Deadwood and stuff, there was bikes all over the place. And obviously we found out talking to the locals and talking to the lads on the bikes and stuff, oh yeah, Sturgis has just finished, it's the biggest motorcycle rally in the world, blah, blah, blah. And then my dad piped up and he said, oh yeah, I've heard of that, son. I could have told you that was on. I knew that was on. I was like, why didn't you tell me that before, But I literally said to the missus that I said, right, that's it. Now I know this is, it took us a 3,500 kilometer round trip to get there. But I said to the missus, I said, I'm going to come back here in a year's time on my own bike. And we did. We went back to actually, while Sturgis was on, 2 stages. And it was a Suzuki Boulevard C50T. That was my sort of first bike over here in North America. So love that bike, and it sort of got me where I needed to go, got me to Sturgis and back, and for many years I had that, and then swapped it for that thing behind me eventually. So yeah, the Sportster. So yeah, man, that's why I started riding over here.
That's pretty cool, man. All right, next question is, what type of riding do you prefer? Twisty versus straight, single versus group? All right, mine, I like a little bit of, I guess I like more straight than twisties, but I do like some curves here and there just to make the ride interesting and not monotonous. Then again, any kind of ride is better than no ride. And, I like some character in the terrain I'm going to ride in, because I know definitely if you ride in, like, for example, the Delta of Mississippi, and I'm sure that's not the only place in the country that has a long straightaways where you can ride 100 miles an hour and still feel like you're standing still. But, you get them long straightaways, man, you can get complacent and not realize there's an 18-wheeler a mile up ahead of you and you'll rear end him because you're not paying attention. But anyway, never mind that rant, but I prefer a little bit of both, just a little bit of a flavor. And, I like a long straightaways. I like not necessarily twisties like Tail of the Dragon, but something with some character. Single versus group. I tend to, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a hard question. I think in the end, I enjoy myself better when I'm by myself. I did the, well, I don't want to say that, but anyway, I did the group riding thing for a few years of my life. And I found that I enjoyed being by myself more than anything. Then again, it doesn't mean I don't like riding with people. I'll ride with another person or 3 people and maybe even 4, but in the end, I don't have to worry about anybody else. I can go my own speed. I can stop for however long I want to stop, that kind of thing. Sometimes the best road trips are the ones that, well, in my opinion, the ones that you get to talk about. I don't know how to say it. Basically, some of the best road trips are the ones you don't have to worry about the next guy. But it's always good to have company with you, so you can share that experience with you too. So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of half and half, wishy-washy on it. I like both, So how about you, Jizzy Nick? What do you prefer?
As far as twisties or straightaway, kind of like what you said, that like I've done the Tail of the Dragon. I mean, it's cool to say you did it, but it's not really what I like. More
Right.
like sweeping curves. I did a lot of highway just because I've been around the country, but I'll take anything. Being from New Jersey, I'll take anything without traffic.
Oh yeah, I can dig that.
Like a nice straight road, like you said, where I could get up to 100 and cruise for a while and let off. So a nice little mix of both of them. As far as single or a group, lately I've been riding by myself more than I ever have. I've done both. I got my buddy Bobby that I travel with, like riding with him is almost like riding by ourselves because we've done it so long together where we don't have to watch out for each other and we're just in that groove. But big groups, I'm not a fan of that anymore because again, New Jersey with the traffic, it's so hard for us to even change lanes with a big group.
Right.
To keep everybody together. And what I've run into over the years is you get a big group, you got so many different riding styles that you're always going to get the one person that, hey, well, usually they say I'm going too fast, but hey, you're going too fast, you're going too slow, I want to stop here, no, I want to stop there. So I think the less people you have, for me, is the better.
I have to give a shout out to Joe Thompson. There's a little story that goes along with that. But yeah, I dig that, Joe. Definitely. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, when you're riding with somebody that what you just said, somebody you don't have to watch out for because you've done it so long together, it's you know each other's moves. You can predict what each other's going to do. Yeah, I can dig that. Scouse, what do you prefer out of that?
Do you know what, mate? Where I'm living in Alberta, it's just flat prairie, so it's straight roads, and it's boring. So for me, I love going to the mountains and through the twisties and the scenery through the Rocky Mountains and roads where you don't get bored of just sitting on the bike and you're just going in one straight line, the same speed. You're not touching the brakes, you're not dropping down or anything like that. So for me personally, it's definitely going through the Rocky Mountains and a bit of scenery to look at, and that's what it's all about, riding. It's just get out and look, and looking at some amazing places. And as for the solo or group stuff, to be honest, I like just any riding if I'm honest. But I do enjoy a little bit more going away with the lads. When you go away with a big group of boys, it's all about going on a trip. It's having a few drinks. It's enjoying, being away from the wife, as it were. But that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, anything where I'm out on two wheels, I'm more than happy. So it doesn't really. I don't even have a favorite, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I guess in certain scenarios, it just depends on the situation. I like coming across places where it's almost like you got the whole world to yourself, and it's almost like a religious experience, so to speak. Yeah. That's the way I felt when I came across the Delta and some places out west. Well, anyway, Kevin, what's your perspective on that? What kind of riding do you prefer? Twisty, straight, single versus group? I know I saw your video, but you share with it.
I like when you have a combo ride where you got a little bit of everything, a little bit of curving. I live in an area where we've got lots of cows, and and I like actually when I get out in the country and I see all the the farm fields and all that sort of stuff and the windmills and all that kind of stuff going by. It's interesting, right? And I live really close to the Great Lakes, so for me it's really easy to go along the shorelines of the Great Lakes, and those are some awesome rides. Right. And they're slow, but they're really twisty and really scenic, and that's what I like. I like that a lot. As far as group riding, I like group riding with a small group. There's about 4 guys I belong to a larger riding group, and I prefer the guy who runs it and myself, and there's a couple other of us that like to go on our own. And so we'll arrange and go on rides, and I prefer those to the big group rides because I find the big group rides, anybody who watches my channel, they know I'm a motorcycle instructor, or have been. I was a motorcycle instructor. And so what always ends up happening when we go with the big group, you get these newbies and they put them with me. And so I end up
imagine that.
Yeah. So I end up
surprised.
Yeah, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. And it's not as much fun for me. I like it better when I can just go and ride and have fun and enjoy the day. And my absolute best trips have been solo. Like when I've gone on my bike, loaded it up with gear, and just gone completely by myself for like 4 or 5 days. And I love that. I just love that. I long for those trips because it's just getting in your own head and
right.
And I like it,
Yeah, I can dig that. When you're by yourself like that, and I've had a few moments like that, you're in your head and you're in a place that nobody else knows but you. And I don't mean to sound all psychedelic or spiritual about it, but it's just a fact.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I remember coming down off of this bridge and around this long 90 of a curve, and there's the Gulf of Mexico, and the air is just perfect. The entire Gulf is flat, no waves, nothing rippling, and it's so unique that you couldn't tell where the horizon was.
Yeah.
And I had to stop. And when you're with people, you can't just like spontaneously do stuff like that. But I had to stop, get off my bike, walk across the sand, and go and just. Anyway, I remember that moment. In fact, I shared it. I went on live when I did that because I had to share it with somebody, you know. But yeah, moments like that, or like when the missus and I 2 years ago were coming back from California, and we took all the back roads through New Mexico and Texas and Arizona, and we went through this area in Arizona. We didn't even know, we weren't even looking for it, you know. And that's the best thing when you're not with people, and you come across places where thank you, Dirty Knobs. I really appreciate that. You know, appreciate the support. Thanks a lot. When we came across an area on Highway 60, I think it was, in Arizona, just north of Globe, and Salt River Canyon, that was the name of the place. And we were about 6,000 or 7,000 feet above sea level or something like that. And anyway, the canyon was so freaking, I mean, coming from where we live at, and we see something like that, we had to stop on the side of the highway and just stare and let our jaws drop wide open like that, and just, oh my gosh, you know, moments like that when you got a group of people, you can't just like stop everybody, you know, it's just, but when you're by yourself in those kinds of moments, yeah, that's the time when I appreciate being by myself, you know, those kinds of moments. That's really really cool. I can really relate to all of that, you know, what you guys said. I don't remember where we were. Let's see, next question. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. What's your favorite type of motorcycle trip? Day, weekend, or long? You know, that's kind of like a can of worms for me, because I like them all.
Yeah.
But let's see, a day is great. It's better than nothing. That means I got to come back, which is cool. It's always great to have a place to come back to, you know. I mean, better than being homeless, I guess, but oh well. But then again, it just depends on where what your perspective is on that. Because I just asked Scooter Tramp Scotty, you know, he's just as happy as a clam living how he's living. And but then there's what did I say? A weekend trip is always good. You know, you can pretend the world that you're living in, you know, like the 9-to-5 job or whatever it is you have to do to serve the things that you own, because you know, you don't really own them, they own you, because you have to go out to work for that stuff, or else you lose it, because that's the culture we live in, you know, house, car payment, bike payment, all that property, blah 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 blah, success and all that stuff. Anyway, that's another can of worms. But at least the weekend, you can get away for a little bit and forget about it, and then come back and relearn how to be stressed out all over again, because you forgot how to do that. But me, my favorite is a heck of a lot longer than that. You know, my favorite kind of trip is the kind where you go, you know, that cliche, you know, but there's some truth to it. It's not about the destinations, it's the ride. Okay. I like to pick a destination that is as far as possible. That's going to keep me away as long as possible. And really, it's not about the destination. It's about how long it's going to keep me away, keep me riding. You know, once I get there, I was like, okay, well, that really wasn't even the point of it. All the point of it was just being. It's just like when I went to Sturgis in 2006, I left here, and it's over 1,500 miles from my house one way. I left here and I went to Arkansas, and I stayed with a lady friend. And some friends were coming up from Biloxi, saying they were going to Sturgis. I met up with them in that town, and we traveled together. And we had the best times at the restaurants and the gas stations and the hotels than we did at Sturgis. And the fun part was at the gas stations. You know, the closer we got to the event, which could be 1,000 miles from the event, the more motorcycles we saw, and then. Every gas station, you started seeing the same stranger's face. And next thing you know, you're making acquaintances with people you never met. And next thing you know, you're at the same hotel, and then you just seeing each other. Of course, this is before Facebook and before Instagram and before YouTube was even a thing. But then you never saw each other again. You split ways. But nevertheless, that was the best part of it all, is making acquaintances with people you thought you'd known your whole life because you all got something in common. And by the time we got to Sturgis, it was like, oh, now what? I mean, even though it was cool, but that kind of thing, the furthest away possible is the best to me, because I know I got to come back. So let's, so it's just like next spring, the missus and I are planning on taking 3 weeks, if things work out, to get on that Evo Softail and ride back out to California again, and take our time doing it.
Sweet.
Last time we did it in less than 2 weeks, and we were hurrying. And so anyway, that's a tangent, but that's my perspective on that. Scousey, what's your perspective on that? What's your favorite kind of riding? Is it a day trip, a weekend trip, or longer?
I'm going to say in between weekend trip and longer trip, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can dig it.
A weekend isn't long enough, and longer can sometimes turn into too long, if that makes sense. So I think once you go, mate, and you know this, you've done this, and the guys have done this as well, and once you get going and you know where you want to go, it turns into a clusterfuck most of the time, because you want to go somewhere else. So you don't plan. Your plan doesn't survive first contact, as we say in the army. But you end up going there, and then you go, oh, what's down this road? Let's go look down this road. So we go down that road, and you end up somewhere else. And then you're going down. And next thing you know, you're 3,000 miles away from home. You're like, what? So I think it's to me, it's in between both, really, at weekends. And don't get me wrong, I like going out, just nipping out on the bike every now and again. Most of the time, every day probably if I could. But that would obviously piss the missus off too much. So you got to keep the fine line between happiness and waking up with a knife in your back. Yeah,
oh, man, that's a bummer.
So yeah, I think anything between a weekend, mate, and long will do me all day, every day.
I can dig it, because a day trip is kind of like a tease,
Yeah,
that's one reason why I don't ride my bike to work, because what the heck, and especially when I live less than 5 miles from where I work. It's like once I have to make that left turn into the parking lot, I'm like, what? Oh man, it messes with your head. It messes with my head, at least,
Yeah.
Especially if I ride the tramp, because that's not what I meant. That's not what I built it for. I didn't build it so I can go to work. I built it so I can run away.
Exactly.
All right, Jersey Nick, what's your perspective on that?
Well, any ride on two wheels is a good thing, but I've got to go with you and say the long trip. It's I like to run away. I do. I like at least a week, a little more. And you're right. It's the vacation to me is in the miles. It's not the destination. You'll plan your destination. Usually when we get there, we're like, all right, well, this is cool. But all the stories, they come from, like you said, the gas stations, the bars, the restaurants. You meet so many people along the way, and that's it. It's just putting the miles in every day, seeing how long you could ride. Dealing with the weather. I mean, I even love that. I mean, it sounds crazy, but getting beat up by the rain, I think, you got to feel a little pain to make sure you're alive. And
yeah,
it's a long trip. I like everything that comes along with it, the good, the bad, the ugly. And believe me, we've been through it all. And I'd have to say the long trip.
Yeah, I like what you said there. It reminds you that you're alive, and nothing's going to remind you that you're alive any more than being a long ways from home, and you see this big wall of death of a thunderstorm right up just up the road, and you have to go through it. And then me listening to an MP3 player, at the right time, the best song comes on for the moment, which would be like Iron Maiden, and Stranger in a Strange Land, just the rhythm in that, I'm like, then I felt like I was headed off into battle, and it's like, that's right, I'm gonna take this storm head on. And next thing I know, I'm getting hit in the face with basketball-sized raindrops and stuff, and I can't see nothing. And I was like, "Oh golly, I'm gonna die!"
That's exactly. I've yelled at the weather many times. I've talked to her. You're like, "Come on, you want to come get me, rain? Come get me!" And we hit some nasty hail going through Wyoming last year, and we knew we were alive after that one. We came out of that one half dead, but still, it's the experiences. I wouldn't.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's really that's when you got some stories to tell. You know, it's great to have the great ride. It's great to have the trip. It's great to have all the fun, but the stories don't really, the war stories don't happen until you either break down, you wreck, you get in some bad weather, or you run out of gas, or all the stuff that you don't want to happen. That's when you're really going to have something to talk about, even though you don't want to go through it when it happens. But hey, at least you don't die. Well, yeah, you don't die, because if you died, you won't have a story to tell. Imagine that.
Or you hit a 100-kilometer mountain pass like I did once that wasn't on the map, and it was all dirt road the whole way. I was like, oh man.
Right. Well, Kevin Schroeder, what's your perspective on that?
Well, definitely, I have to agree with all of you guys. It's always the longer trip. Weekend, I've done a weekend, and then you feel ripped off. Like you you want to come. I don't want to go home. You know,
right?
And the thing you were saying there, Corey, about I can think of one trip. I was going along Lake Superior, and I went up to Thunder Bay, and you find stuff along the way. Like I found this amethyst mine place, and I had to drive off road. Well, it was a road, but it was gravel and all this sort of crap on my Harley, and it was great. I found this place, and I found this cool stuff that I brought home, and yeah, it's just the things that you don't expect to happen, and it just happens. The other thing that happened on that trip, and you talked about the things that you remember. Well, there's one morning I remember on that one trip. I left early. It was the second day, and there's like all these lakes, and I hadn't passed a car in 2 hours either direction, right? And I'm on this highway, but there's nobody on it, and the steam is sort of coming off the lakes, and I'm going through the forest, and there's hilly and curvy. I come around a curve, and here's this humongous black bear standing in the middle of the road, and I'm like, oh sugar. What do I do?
Yeah.
So I stopped the bike, and I'm looking at this bear thinking, okay, what do I do now? And I did what any good Canadian would do, and I got my camera out and took his picture. And
good or foolish?
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's the way I'm going. He's walking right down the middle of the road, and so I thought, okay, I'll just rev the motor, and I went right for him, and he ran into the woods. But he was huge, like really huge. And I mean, that stuff just doesn't happen, you know, like I couldn't plan. You know? Right.
It's like, there's this one guy I follow. You guys know who Redbeard, the kilted rider is?
Yes.
Did you see that one video where he was riding and a bison started to chase him down the road?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ain't that some stuff, huh? Oh, well. Well, let's see oh man, I lost my emails. Here we go. All right, now this is kind of hand in hand with the last question. What is your favorite ride or destination? Oh, wait, I guess I got to answer that first, huh? Silly me. My favorite ride or destination was kind of runs hand in hand with the last one. My favorite ride is the kind that's as far away as possible. Yeah. And well, I guess I'll have to say place to ride. I'll say it like that. My favorite places to ride was, well, number one, out west, you know, but at the time it was my favorite place because I'd never seen it before. And I'm so used to the east where everything is green and it's just green and there's trees everywhere, you know, and you're incarcerated from the big sky because of the big tall pine trees. And, but not to say that that's not beautiful, you know, it's everything's beautiful in its own way. But then I really enjoyed seeing the big skies out west, you know, and the further west I went, the less people there are. In fact, the interstates became like backcountry roads or something like that. And I also like to ride in the Mississippi Delta. You know, when I discovered that, when I did that video about the crossroads, I had no idea that there was a spot in Mississippi like that. And it wasn't that far away. And again, there's nobody out there. Hardly anybody was out there. And it's a long straightaways and some curves. And I felt like I had the whole world to myself, had some religious experience, you know. And but anyway, And we have another guest, by the way, who's going to come up, who I've been trying to get on. He said he's going to come up for a little bit. So everybody, I don't know if you guys know this guy or not. He's all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana, and he's kind of a mystery character, kind of like Phantom of the Opera, because nobody's ever seen his face. And his name is none other than Anonymous Biker USA. What's up, Anonymous?
Good evening, esteemed gentlemen of the panel.
Hey, mate.
Good evening.
And you as well, Scouse.
I knew that was coming.
That's funny. But that's my answer to that. I'm gonna let. I think Anonymous isn't going to be on very long. He's got things to do, so I'll let him answer that next question. Anonymous, what is your favorite ride or destination?
Ooh, that's a good question. As far as what would it be, or what was it that I've done?
Well, just interpret it however it's relative to you.
Personally, I would love to go up to Scouse's neck of the woods and ride around Banff in Canada.
No, this means like something you've already done, though.
Oh, already done.
Yeah. But I can agree with you. I wouldn't mind riding the Scousies too.
Yeah, actually, Jersey
Come on up,
Nick will
boys.
appreciate this. When I was big on my sport bike, I used to rip around all the twisties in the Pocono Mountains, which was always awesome because there's no traffic and the elevations are fun and the roads are awesome.
I think that's one thing that we're all relating to on that one is no traffic.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, Kevin, what is your favorite ride or destination?
The next one.
The next one? What's the best one you've done so far?
I have to say that trip I took to Thunder Bay along Lake Superior, that was epic. I had no idea what to expect. I had read on a couple of the vlogs and stuff that they'd said that road, Highway 17 in Canada along the Lake Superior, or the whole loop around on the American side as well, is that whole trip is in the top, I think, 5 of best motorcycle roads in North America. So it's pretty epic. I mean, on both sides of the border, from what I've heard, it's really, really good. My plan was to go back through the States when I was going home, but I decided to go back the way I came because I liked the road so much. I wanted to do it again.
Always the way doing it.
Yeah. So, and I knew I didn't know, especially on the Canadian side, there wasn't a lot of places to buy gas. So I knew where I could get gas on the way back, and I didn't know what it was going to be like on the other side. I've heard it's the same sort of problem, but not maybe as bad as it is on the Canadian side. But yeah, I would say that was my favorite trip, is that one. But yeah, the next one.
The next one. The one, yeah, I got you, because every time I come back from a trip, I'm trying to scheme up another trip.
Yeah.
And as make it as fast as possible.
That's right.
Jersey Nick, what has been your favorite ride or destination?
Well, if we're gonna go with like favorite part of the country to ride, and I got to go with Tennessee for 2 reasons. Because 1, they got beautiful back roads, and 2, they have Nashville, which is my all-time favorite city.
Oh yeah, okay.
Tennessee. But if we go with what was my favorite overall road trip, that has to be New Jersey to San Diego, California.
Oh, okay, no, that rocks.
Yeah, that was true ocean to ocean, coast to coast. I want to say we did it in about 13 days, so we were kind of moving.
Is that one way?
No.
Oh, really?
Jersey to California and back in 13 days. It was
good.
less than 2 weeks. I only had 2 weeks off from work, so I
got you. Yeah.
13 days, and just the experience of, especially when we got out to like Arizona, and we were sure we were going to die in the desert a couple times. I think it went up to like 115 degrees. But then when you come out of Arizona and you start going through those canyons of California, and the temperature drops like 40 degrees.
Oh yeah.
And we ended up getting into San Diego, like cutting in and out in the middle of rush hour traffic, pulling up to the Ocean Beach Hotel right on the beach. I mean, that's something I will never, ever forget. So that's got to be my all-time favorite ride.
Yeah, I can relate to that. When I went to California, aside from any rain, I was surprised we didn't see any rain. But we saw every kind of weather you can see. you know, where it was chilly when we left, and then it got warm in the desert, and then the temperature dropped when we got to Los Angeles. Then we hit at the same time hitting those Santa Ana winds, hitting us head on, and next thing you know, we're going through the mountains and there's snow on the ground, which I didn't foresee that happening. Which is one reason why I always say, if you want to take a road trip, take all the clothing or all the gear. That's if you're going to take a long road trip, that is, take your leathers no matter what, and take 2 types of gloves, the thin ones and the thick ones, because you never know when you're going to need them. I didn't think I was going to need everything I took, but I ended up using every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nuts. And there's lots of places out there where you do not get phone reception, so you better take a paper map. Plus, they look better with coffee stains on them than your cell phone. All right, Scalcy. What was the question again? Oh, yeah. What's your favorite riding destination?
If we're going off ones that we've done in the past, I'm going to say we did an epic road trip through Canada and the States 2 years ago, and we stopped in a place called Toad Rock Motorcycle Campground in the Kootenays in British Columbia. And by far, mate, the roads around through there were just unbelievable. Riding roads was just spectacular. And the roads that we were going over across some massive, huge rivers and lakes and stuff like that. It was just phenomenal. So yeah, I'm going to say that. And then we finished the journey off actually coming back through the Rockies in Alberta, through Banff and Canmore and the Icefields Parkway and stuff like that. So for me, that was most definitely by far my best road trip to date down to BC. We actually stopped in Whitefish for a little bit in Montana and then came up. Back up through BC, and it was just phenomenal, mate. It really was. And the Toad Rock Motorcycle Campground is brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
That is cool.
It's really cool.
It's really cool when you find a motorcycle campground. The wife and I found one in North Carolina, or we were told about it, called the Kickstand Lodge. And this is about as primitive as you can get. I mean, they have tent camping, but they also have cabins with no electricity, and then they got cabins where all you have is a light switch. But what made it unique is that there's a patio with a kitchen, outdoor kitchen there, and everybody, even though they've never met, whoever's staying there that night, we all participate in we all participate in washing the dishes or cooking dinner or whatever, and it's all on an honor system. And though we've never met each other, it's like we've all known each other, and we sit down and break bread together, eat together, sit around the campfire together, and then we never see each other again.
Yeah, that was exactly like that place that we went to, mate. Exactly the same. And the good thing about that place was that the unique thing about that place, they had a pet pig. So there's a pot-bellied pig just walking around all over the place. It was crazy. Woke up one morning, like you'd zip your tent open, and he'd be like sat right looking at you, like, "What?
Wow,
man."
Outback, thanks for the donation, bro. I really appreciate your support, and you're definitely a gem, man. Just like Ozarks, man. Anyway, I have absolutely no idea why anybody would want to support what I do, but I'm always taken back by that, and just thank you so much.
He's a top bloke, Outback.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, at the campground I'm talking about, when dinner's ready, somebody has to ring the bell. It's one of these bells it's on a rope, like ding, 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 like that. But you can't ring the bell unless you got this big, giant plastic rabbit head on top of you. It's a strange place, but hopefully, the missus and I, if everything plans out, if everything works out okay, this coming September, we're going to go to this event called the Midwest Moto Meetup. It's going to be the 2nd annual, and it's going to be held in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's basically comprised of YouTube motor vloggers and then some, and all the friends and anybody who wants to come. It's not exclusive to just one kind of people. We had a great time last year, and we want to see everybody again this year. So we plan on, if after we hit in Louisville, Kentucky, is come back home by way through South Carolina and the Smokies and stay at Kickstand again. I know that's useless knowledge, but hey, that's one of our favorite trips together too, you know?
Nice, mate. Nice.
Kev, who did I miss anybody on this question? You guys already answered it all?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. You was going to say something, Kevin?
I was going to say I saw that Midwest meetup. Guys were talking about it. Unfortunately, our border is closed. You can't go down. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because of the Chinese disease?
Yep.
Yeah. I tried to call it that so nobody forgets where it came from.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, no, it's the border's close, so we can't even go down.
Can you even fly?
You probably could fly, but who wants to fly?
That's true.
Good
All right,
point.
next destination. Not destination. I'm reading the freak. Anyway, not destination. The next question. What's the biggest lesson? Here's the one that got me. I did not exactly know how to answer this, and I have to. Ozarks. I'm going to need a boat for my bike. The hurricane is coming. Yeah, you're right, Ozarks. It has come a flood out there. I've got sandbags in front of the garage right now, keeping the water out, and it has been relentless. It has not stopped. Thank you so much for your kind support, bro. And I really enjoy the stickers, man. Thanks so much. I'm glad you got my envelope too.
You're gonna have to build an ark.
Yeah, really. All right, the next question is, which, like I said, this is the one that got me. What's the biggest lesson motorcycling has taught you? And I've learned a lot of things. I don't know if there's like one. I don't know if I can sum it up into one thing, but I guess I can say it like this. When I first discovered motorcycling, what it was like. To some people, everybody's wired differently. When I got on that thing, I got such a big feeling of a release from the norm of society. And it kind of gave me the feeling and the I don't know how to word this, that the world's a lot bigger place than what I perceived it as. My world is very minute, and if there's a whole world out there to be had and to be seen, with the elements all surrounding you, you know what I'm saying? Because it's different on a bike than it is in a car. And on a motorcycle, you've got the elements surrounding you. Whether it be rain, sleet, snow. Well, if you're crazy enough to ride in sleet. Or whatever the weather is. And if you make it through that, like especially on a long trip, you realize how small you are. And yet you still get to see the world how it is if you make it through there. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It gives me a sense of smallness. And whenever you're brought low, and you can look at something that's much greater than you in that respect. To me, it fills me with such a great sense of joy and happiness and contentment. And being on a bike gives me that feeling. Or being actually another thing that's just about as humbling as being in a little plastic kayak out in open water too, when anything can happen. But that's a different kind of humbling. But I have to say that I guess realizing your status in the world's perspective, not society, but as a part of your surroundings around you. I guess I don't know how else to say it. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. Because I struggle with trying to explain myself like that. I guess I'm going to leave it at that. Anonymous biker, what is the biggest thing that motorcycling has taught you?
I would say for me, it's the ability to be living in the present, because when you're on the bike, you're not really thinking about all the other troubles. But I also tend on a bike to stop at every roadside marker, historical item, look it up, learn about stuff.
Yeah.
It's given me the appreciation to where normally in a car I would just blow right by it because I'm in a hurry. So a bike makes me slow down. So it's probably taught me patience.
It's a good one.
That's a good one to put it. Yeah. Kevin, what's the biggest thing motorcycling taught you?
Well, when I did this, my answer immediately was to live in the moment, and you kind of stole that from me, Anonymous.
I'm sorry, Superman.
But yeah, I think it goes along with what Saddle Tramp was saying there too. It's the same. It's you live in the moment, and like being on the bike, you tend not to let a lot of other garbage go in your head. I mean, you're just there. You're enjoying where you are, and there's all those senses and all those feelings going on all at one time. And I think that's what I like the most about it. And I think that's why I like going on the trips by myself, because it's like I'm alone with myself. It's taught me to be calm. I guess that's what it is. Taught me to be calm.
No, am I add something to that, Kevin?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think because when we all get on a bike, this is going to sound crazy, but biochemically, we are all in a more elevated mood. and it just changes our whole mindset as to when you're in a car.
Yeah.
I can dig that for sure.
Yeah.
I could remember having a bad day at work with a certain individual, and it just, and I got home and I got on the tramp and I took a ride up the road, and all of a sudden everything changed. My whole
Exactly.
my whole way of thinking changed, and it's something that I can't put into words too good. But you guys pretty much nailed it pretty good right there. I can dig that. Scalzi, what's the biggest thing that motorcycling taught you?
I'm gonna say it. Freedom, the freedom of being on your own and just going where you want to go, whenever you want to go. If you can, obviously work and life dependent. But yeah, the biggest thing for me, mate, especially coming over here to North America, was you don't really get much freedom in the UK because of how small it is, and we were touched on the cars and the traffic situation before. In the UK, it's horrific. The traffic is horrendous. Everywhere you go, there's traffic left, right, and centre. You can't go 100 meters without seeing another person. But over here, it's completely different, man. I can go a mile, 2, 3, 4 miles without seeing anybody. Especially when you get out the city and stuff. It's so for me, it's going to be, for the two countries' perspective, it's definitely the freedom side of it that you get over here compared to the UK, mate. To be fair, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Where I live, it's still considered somewhat rural, but we're close enough to Biloxi and Gulfport that there's a lot of traffic. More people live in the rural areas than they live in town, it seems like. And it seems like every time I go out, there's always somebody in my way. Of course, it ain't like I live in New Orleans or I live in New Jersey or I live in England, I mean, for my goodness, I mean, it's like when I was in Brazil, I was amazed at in the cities, those Brazilians know how to utilize every single millimeter in between the cars, and I don't know how they don't have any more wrecks than what they do. But then again, that's because you're concentrating than if you are out in an open area. You kind of like your mind can go to sleep. But I can dig what you're saying there, But I dig the areas where where there's nobody, where you almost like. Yeah. And then again, that's not about me. I asked you guys the question. I already said my piece.
Exactly.
The Jersey Nick, man, what's the biggest thing that motorcycling taught you?
I think it taught me how to get through hard times in life. Like riding for me is like therapy. Whether it's, you have like a bad week at work, or maybe you broke up with a girlfriend, or anxiety. I mean, riding has just helped me through anything bad that happened in my life. Like I always went to that, and when I'm on that bike, it solves everything, or at least makes me forget about it. And it's a hell of a lot better way to cope with things like that than maybe going to get drunk or doing whatever.
Right.
Maybe things that I did back in my 20s. That it really became therapy for me. It helped me through a lot of dark times in life, and I got the 2 bikes now, but that Road Glide, that's one reason I'll never sell it, because me and that bike have been through so much. It's like, I call her Lola. She's like a person to me, like that bike has a soul now. And whenever I'm having like a bad time with something, I just get on that bike and it feels like home, and everything just melts away. So I think that's the most important thing it taught me, is how to, get through tough times and use it as a form of therapy.
It's a great answer, man. Yeah, great answer.
Paul, forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Arellano. I don't know how to say that. Thank you so much, and I'm glad you got the stickers too, man. I hope you put them to good use, and do what you want with them, bro. And thank you so much for your support.
Mr. Tramp, may I ask Scouse a question about that? What his answer was?
Si, senor.
Scousey.
Yeah, mate.
Being with what you do as a profession, do you find any similarities mentally when you're strapped into that tank versus riding a motorcycle?
No, no, mate. It's the complete opposite of you jump into a Challenger 2 main battle tank, and you're there's one purpose for the Challenger 2, and it's it's a war machine. It's to go to war and kill other tanks or whatever, So for me, when I step in that tank, mate, it's my head being the commander. It's you've got to look after the driver, you've got to look after the gunner, you've got to look after the operator who's loading the gun or making a cup of tea, or making your food. So when it's chaos, it's organized chaos. The best way I can put it is organized chaos when you're in the tank, and especially when you go to war in one. It's just it's it is definitely organized chaos then, you know, when you've got rounds coming at you left, right, and center. So for me, touching on what Jersey Nick, that way, this way, that way, we're saying,
that way. That guy right there.
So yeah, it's the complete opposite, mate. Like Jersey Nick was saying, you know, when I get out on the bike, it's completely just therapeutic for me, and the away you go. Whereas as soon as you step on board the tank, it's just mental from get go to stop, you know. So
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, but
Well, I mean, I'm sure none of us have that experience, so I was just curious as to what your answer was there.
Cool.
All right.
There is a kettle on board as well.
A kettle. You mean like a pot of coffee or something?
Yeah. Yep.
He is.
Well, I guess so. Better than a bottle of whiskey in a situation like that.
Well, yeah. Normally Bailey's.
Be like, hold my drink. Watch this.
Exactly.
Boom. Oops.
As that film said, best job I ever had.
All right. This question here. Do you have any words of wisdom for a person looking to get into a motorcycle, or I would better say in Grammarly, onto a motorcycle? Oh, motorcycling. Okay, I see what you're saying. Words of wisdom for somebody who's looking to get into motorcycling. Okay, well, that is really relative as to why you are getting into motorcycling, because people go into it for whatever reason. Some are born into it. Some of them do like I did and just discover a whole nother world. I wanted something with better fuel mileage, and all of a sudden I found another side of me I never knew. And some people get into it because of whatever, you know. But words of wisdom is the only thing I can think of is from a safety aspect, because not everybody thinks the same way as far as a perspective on life in general. But if you're wanting to get into motorcycling, I'll tell you what kind of motorcycle you want to have. You want to have something that, even though they didn't ask what kind of motorcycle, that's the only thing I can think of. Make sure you don't get something that you can't handle. You know, you don't want something that's too much motorcycle, and you don't want something that's too little motorcycle. You don't want something that's underpowered that cannot get out of the way enough, but you don't want something that has so much power that you're going to kill yourself in no time. Also, if you're going to get a motorcycle to get into motorcycling, I would say get a relatively cheap motorcycle, something that's whatever brand it is, whether it be new or used. I would say get something that's within your budget. And the reason why I say that is because if you wreck the bike, or if you decide you don't want to have anything to do with motorcycling because it's not your thing, you're not out of a whole bunch of money. On top of that, it won't be hard to sell the motorcycle if you're not asking a whole lot for it, because you didn't give a whole lot for it. Because not everybody has, like everything that we're talking about right here, our perspective, we can all pretty much agree on the same thing. We're all pretty much in agreement. We got the same opinions. We just have different ways of putting it. But not everybody thinks that way about motorcycling. Like I've been to, like I said, Brazil. Most other countries, especially like in South America, motorcycles is just another way of getting around town. So it's all business to them, and to us, we see it as a way of freedom, because we grew up in a different type of way, different culture, if you will. So my words of wisdom is, whatever you want, for whatever reason you're getting into motorcycling, make sure that you have that motorcycle that's going to fit your needs for what you want to do. And that's pretty much my wisdom on that. It's just practicality, really. Jersey Nick, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I would say take the safety course, definitely. They call it the MSF course here. Take that, get your license that way. If you want to do it, don't wait. Like I said earlier, I waited till I was 28. I wish I would have did it earlier. Time goes fast. Next thing you know, you're 40, so you can. And as far as like what kind of bike, like it's probably start out with something smaller and buy whatever brand you want. Don't let people talk you into, oh no, you should buy this because of this. You should buy this because don't listen to us Harley guys. I mean, we know there's only one motorcycle brand, but you buy what you want.
Hey, bada bing, bada boom.
Oh, I gotta stop before I start. The Sopranos start coming out.
Forget about
it. No, keep going. I love hearing that talk.
No, that's it. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. All right, Kevin, what's your words of wisdom on that?
Well, You know what I'm going to say.
No, I don't. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I mean, I was an MSF instructor, so
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
so absolutely take a course. And you know what? The thing that my words of wisdom to anybody who's riding, or anybody who comes into riding, or anybody who's been riding for a while, you don't practice your skills, your basic skills, you won't get better. I've rode with guys who've said, I've been riding for 20 years, I don't need to practice. And then we go riding together and we have to turn around in a parking lot and they're doing a duck waddle and I'm spinning the bike around. It's like, you just have to practice. I remember one time I pulled into a donut shop and there was a whole group of guys standing there with sport bikes. And I come in with my Harley and I turned the bike around like really, really tight and pulled up beside and backed up beside them. And the guy says to me, there's no way I could have done that with my bike. And I said to him, you absolutely could. All you need to do is practice. And,
Right.
and I think that people think that they get their license and then they're done, or I've been riding for so long and now I'm done. I mean, I was an instructor and I practice every week. That's my advice.
Sounds like wonderful advice. I didn't even say go take a course. I guess that's because I never took one. I taught myself. Here's what I did. Now I'm not saying this is how you do it because I didn't know anybody that rode before I bought a motorcycle and I wanted to get into it. At the time, I was 21, 22 years old. Anyway, I'm fixing to be 42 now. I had a job where I delivered flowers around town. So every time I saw somebody on a motorcycle, I'd catch up to them and watch their hands and feet to figure out what they were doing, and I had it in my mind, I figured out how they were operating that thing. So that's when I got my first motorcycle. I wasn't lost as far as what all the levers and shifters did and all that stuff. But the best thing to do, definitely take a course. I wish I'd have done that. I could probably still do that. I know I can, because there's always somebody that can teach you something you don't know, because I know I don't know everything, that's for sure. Anonymous, what's your words of wisdom?
I'm going to go in the other direction other than safety, and it's more for people that already have bikes, because we all do this to ourselves. But two things: it's only money, and your bike's never finished, so stop worrying about it.
True that.
Truer words were never spoken.
That's funny. Scousey, what's your words of wisdom?
It's not often I have words of wisdom, mate, to be fair, being a thick squaddy, a thick soldier, as we say. But if I had one word of wisdom, mate, I'd say don't put it off. If you're thinking about doing it, do it. Don't hang around. Just life's too short, man. I learned that many years ago, and life is too short to piss about and to think, oh, I'll do it next week or I'll do it in a year's time. Do it now. Right. Do it now.
I can see you saying that, if being in a tank and bombs going off all around you,
That's when I learned life's too short.
Good and well, nobody's getting out of this alive, so go ahead and seize them what you can, right? Yeah, I can dig that idea.
The first time I had a round fired at me and it pinged off the side of the tank, I thought, fuck, geez, life's too short to be doing this, but I have to do it, and I still do it. And, that's why I say, don't hang about. If you're thinking about doing it, just do it, man.
All right, Outback. Thanks for coming by, man. Thanks for the support. It's always good to see you around, bro.
Good luck with your son.
All right. Last question is, what's your big? I'm not saying it right this will help. There we go. What's your next big destination or ride? Well, my next big destination / ride, like I said, that we plan on, if the Chinese disease doesn't screw it up any more than it has, is going to Louisville, Kentucky, from where I live down here on the coast of Mississippi, which is just under 700 miles, to go to the next Midwest Moto meetup. Here's what's going to make it so big, because I've been to Louisville 10,000 times. Louisville is I can drive there, I can ride there with my eyes closed. Here's the thing. The missus, this was her idea, not mine. We're talking about riding the Tramp all the way there. And, and I had to ask, why do you want to ride that when we can ride that over there? And she says that because she knows how much I would love to ride that motorcycle to the MMM. I said, well, never mind what I would desire to do. Do you really want to ride that motorcycle that far? And she said, yes. And I'm like, holy crap, I mean, okay. I mean, I want to ride it too. And, but practicality is fighting with vanity here. I'm trying to ignore practicality, and I'm trying to be vain too. But, we definitely have some really cool war stories to tell if we ride that bike. Definitely. And for both of us on that motorcycle, we'll have to be very minimal on that bike as far as what we take with us. Because, when I built that bike, I made it for me. I didn't really foresee the two of us riding on it. So that would be an interesting ride nonetheless. So I've already got a route planned out as far as how to get there. Mostly back roads, only jump on interstates when it's convenient, to like bypass the big cities, or being on the back roads in the big cities like Birmingham, and Nashville and all that stuff. Anyway, but that's our next big ride. And like I said, we're really indecisive on if we're going to take the tramp or not. We may at the last minute ride that Softail, but I'm really thinking about how to make it happen on the tramp. I mean, she told me, and she's quite the trooper, I mean, she's got more things wrong with her physically than I've got, but she told me this. And this is why in some ways I think women are tough in this respect. She said to me, I'm not going to let what I can't or shouldn't do dictate who I am. So I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to deal with it later. And it's just like somebody else told me, reminded me of these words. None of us are getting out of this alive, so seize the moment while you can. So we may do it that way. It will be interesting, And she loves riding on that bike. Sometimes what you love will kill you too. But hey, we'll have something to talk about though. It'll be interesting. But that's our next trip, and then after that we plan the following year, that spring. I will have 3 weeks of vacation time to use. I'll be able to carry 40 hours over into 2021, and we're planning to get on that Softail and ride back out west and have 3 weeks to play with instead of 2 weeks. And that way we can take it a little easier. Plus we're on an Evo, which doesn't have the horsepower that a twin cam has. But nevertheless, it's riding an old Harley across the country. That's fun, And I don't know. I have a different perspective. Here's on my perspective on why to ride is kind of backwards to most people. But it's not that I'm looking for trouble. It's this. Some folks, they want the assurance that they're going to make it to where they're going to go. So some people ride a new bike, or they ride a newer bike, or a more practical bike, or whatever, and it's fine. That's cool. I get a lot of excitement out of, okay, I'm going to see if I can make it over there, And if I make it, I'm like, wow, I made it. This pile of parts that made it all the way over here, I wonder if we can make it back. I wonder if it'll take me with it too while it's at it, And that's just something, I don't know. It's something exhilarating to me about that, I start thinking about every single nut and bolt that I'm familiar with. Okay, did I put enough thread lock on that? Or thinking about that bearing that I put, is that bearing in good shape? Stuff like that. It's an adventure. I don't know if I'm a glutton for punishment or just stupid. I don't know, one or the other. But anyway, that was a long answer. So that is my what was the question again? Oh, yeah, what's your next big trip? Yeah. Jersey Nick, what's your next big destination or ride?
Well, you and Anonymous know what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I know.
I was supposed to come see you guys. We were going to roll down through Texas and then hook up with you guys on the way back. But as you say, the Chinese disease kind of screwed that up this year. It's not, I don't say canceled, I say postponed, because we're definitely doing it next year. Cool. But with that said, I've been kind of working on a plan B. I got something up my sleeve. I don't want to jinx it. You're going to have to subscribe to Jersey Nick Moto to find out.
Attaboy.
And while you're at it, you might as well subscribe to my buddy Rolling Stone, too.
There you go.
Right. That might help you out a little. But, yeah, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen very soon. And as soon as all the details are ironed out, I'll let everybody know. But I'm trying to get a plan B where I could avoid hotels, avoid people, and get away for a few days.
I got you. Yeah, you guys if you want to follow Jersey Nick's trip that he's going to do, look, I included everybody's link to their channel down in the description below, so you can go
Thank you, sir.
check them all out and subscribe because they got a lot of good content. I can't wait to see Jersey Nick's stuff. And Kevin's got some pretty humorous videos that he keeps putting out. He always puts a smile on my face every time he puts out a video. And so does Anonymous has got some cool stuff. Scouse has always got cool stuff. You know, I don't, but you guys don't have to, you know, keep watching my stuff because my stuff sucks. Anyway. But anyway, what were we talking about?
Next big trip.
Yeah. Scousey, what's your next big trip?
Let me share it with you if that makes sense. Let me share a picture of what I'm going to do so you can share it on the thing. I've just shared it with you now, mate. But it was supposed to be the Beartooth Pass this year, but obviously that's not going to happen now. So
nice.
we're doing this one in a couple of weeks. We're going to do the Highwood Pass. It's Highway 40 in Kananaskis in the Rocky Mountains in Canada. And as you can see, man, it's going to be amazing, mate. It goes on for probably 200 Ks. Round loop, and it literally goes through, as you can see there, through the, it snakes its way through the Rockies, mate. So it's going to be amazing. It's not a substitute for the Beartooth Pass. It's just like Nick said, it's just delayed till next year. So we're going to do this one instead. And again, it's going to be a weekend trip away with the lads. So it's going to be great, man. So that's the next big thing for us on the. And of course, you'll have to subscribe to Scouse Adventures to see the video.
That's right.
Hey, can we find you on Instagram too?
I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on anything. I'm all over that social media palaver.
That's cool. How about you, Kevin?
I want to go to Sturgis, but it won't be this year, obviously. And I'm hoping that I can do.
Cheers, Jason.
I can do Sturgis sometime. The other trip I've always wanted to do is ride all the way to Key West from here.
Oh, that would be a good ride.
Yeah, and I'd like to do that. So those two, in no particular order, I'd like to do both those.
All right. So, and Anonymous, what's your next big trip?
Well, being with everything that just happened, I had to basically use all my vacation time because we were out of work. So I'm not going anywhere.
That sucks, man.
Dang, man. So when do you get some vacation again?
That's a great question. I'll let you guys all talk to my boss.
It doesn't work by like on a timeline or something like that, or yearly or something like that?
I mean, technically it would be January 1.
Oh.
That's horrendous that he made you take your vacation.
They did that to a lot of people.
What?
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
ridiculous.
That's mental, mate, that.
And that's a bummer. Well,
Do you want me to come down and knock him off?
what's that?
Jersey Nick's got some friends, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I can take a ride down, mate, and make sure he takes a walk in the long woods or something.
Scouts, let me tell you, he's from Bayonne. You don't play up there.
I'm a teamster. Come on, I'm a teamster.
Liverpool's just as bad, lad, I tell you.
That's funny. Well, that pretty much concludes the 7-gear challenge. Or I don't know if I said it right, but Kevin, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to participate. I'm sorry I'm so late with doing this. But hey, this has been pretty fun doing it like this. I had absolutely no idea how in the world I was going to make a video about this. But what better way to do it than to discuss it amongst friends and get everybody else's opinions and perspectives about it? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That is so cool. So
the only thing I wanted to say is there's been some really great answers in the side chat with some of the answers, and I making me laugh as we're going along here.
Yeah, they're going by so fast I can't keep up with them all.
I noticed that. That's why I've been chuckling to myself. You see me chuckling, I'm like reading all the comments.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I appreciate you guys for coming on, man. I appreciate everybody in the side chat, man. And you guys who don't know these guys, I'm sure everybody's familiar with everybody, but not everybody's commenting because I know there's not 93 characters in the side chat right now. So you guys go check out Jersey Nick Moto, Scouse Adventures, Anonymous Biker USA, and Kevin Schroeder. Their links are down below in the description. So you can Oh, I'm sorry. He changed his name. He used to be Kevin Schroeder a a long time ago. Now he's Superman Kev 2000. That's right.
Yeah,
But
2000,
anyway, what did you say?
2001.
2000.
Okay, well,
Super.
what
Yeah.
he said, 2001. But yeah, and anyway, they got lots of good content and stuff like that, and good guys to watch. I always enjoyed this stuff too. But anyway, it's been great, guys. We've been going about an hour and 20 minutes, so I'm just gonna go ahead and end it here. And as I always say, you guys keep the riverside down and be good to yourselves. All right.
Thank you, Sir Tramp.
And
Thanks,
until-
mate.
Gals, Jersey Nick, Kev,
Take care, guys. Thanks for
Side
having me.
Chat brethren.
Catch you on the other side.
Yeah.
all right. See you guys later. Thank you everyone who came along and just hung out with us. See you
Hasta
guys.
luego, muchachos.
All right.